Hello, I'm going to show off my auto-rigging script that I made for my final animation assignment during this first semester at FIA. So what we had to begin with was some mocap data that we had in Motion Builder. So you can see that's all working. And then I applied it to my very, very tiny model of Samus. Yay. Then in Maya, we had rigs of our characters. So you can see I've got some IK controllers, all of these circles rotate, these arrows up here rotate, these arrows down here rotate, got some pole vector controllers. So that's all good. And then the script itself. So essentially what this does is it takes those two files, the one from Motion Builder as well as the rig with the controllers, it imports them into the scene, and it applies all of the keyframes that were on the joints from the Motion Builder file, and it applies those to the controllers on the rig file, so that in the end, everything is controlled by the controllers rather than being moved by the joints. So the way I do that is, of course, I just import the file to start off with. And because the files from Motion Builder are probably going to be different lengths, it dynamically finds the length of the file that was imported, and it sets the time slider to be that length. Then it zeroes out the character at the frame before the animation begins, which is usually going to be frame -1. Then once that's zeroed out, I import the rig. And because I was still working with the mesh and the joints within the rig, I go ahead and delete those since I don't need them. And since it will almost never be the case that the motion capture data is going to be at the exact origin within Maya, I make sure to center the controllers within the mocap data. Then I go ahead and create my IK handles, and then I constrain all of the controllers to joints, both point and orient constraints. And that's all done by adding the controllers to arrays. Then I just go through some for loops and apply all of those constraints. And then once everything is constrained, I go ahead and bake the animation onto the controllers. Then I remove the constraints from the controllers, I delete the keys on the joints themselves, and then I go ahead and constrain the joints to the controllers using those arrays from up top. So now everything is controlled by the controllers rather than the joints. And finally, I lock and hide the scale and translate attributes on the controllers that won't be needed. So now, let's see this in action. I'm going to zoom out a little bit because this animation is pretty big. So hopefully this will get all of it so we can see what's happening. Then I just have a little button that runs the script. Oop. So I'm going to click that. We'll see it go. So it's imported the two files and centered them together. And now it's baking the animation onto the controllers. And there you go. So now everything is controlled by the controllers. And so you'll see the animation starts at -1, which is a zeroed out pose, and then it actually goes into the mocap animation. And it's all on the controllers. If I select a joint, you'll see that there are no keyframes. So all on the controllers. And that is that.